Welcome, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us today for our 11th episode of STEM STEAM activities at home or in the classroom. We'll continue to share great hands-on activities, including the ones we have planned for today. So now with that said, I'm going to pass over to Josh, who will be our May presenter today. Hi, Josh.
Hey, everybody. How's it going out there in wonderful December land that we're in? I'm in Wisconsin, much like Jordan, and we're enjoying the fine weather here. It's nice and brisk, that's for sure. So it's December, end of the year, and we've been showing off a lot of really cool arts and crafts STEM projects, things like really awesome holiday cards that we did in the last one. If you ask Jordan, by the way, if you have any other questions, comments, or concerns about doing fun holiday cards, because those are some templates he can hook you up with the paper circuits stuff. This is literally from the last one we did with Jordan. They've been sitting off the side of our table here for a week or so. But if you're looking for more holiday things, talk to Jordan about that. By the way, too, if you're interested in these events and more, please make sure you're following all the information with Nasco Education. And I think Pete's going to hook us up with a couple of things on the screen. There we go. Follow Nasco, one of these many fun links. Yes, like this. There we go. Or talk to Jordan if you have questions about purchasing, or if you need more information or resources or templates, all that fun jazz. You can find Jordan at this email address right here, engage@nascoeducation.com. Email him. He's fairly nice. So I'm Josh, and over to the side over here is Pete. He's our producer Whoa. Pete. You can kind of hear him off over in the far distance, and maybe off in the far distance too, the sweet whining of a Springer Spaniel who's not allowed in our video production area. Poor little guy. So we're gonna show off a couple of fun projects at the end of the year, because why not? End of the year. Let's have some fun with projects. We're gonna show off 3 interesting projects that are used with our Crazy Circuit system, which is our Lego-based electronic system which Nasco carries. Now, Crazy Circuits essentially are components on little circuit boards with Lego holes on them. Typically, we'll connect them together using our nylon conductive tape, which same stuff we use for our paper circuits or wearable electronics, but this is 1/8 inch, so it goes well over Lego studs, parts pop on top. You make fun circuits. And we're gonna show you a couple of bigger projects, not the simple stuff, because it's the end of the year. Let's show off some fun things we've done in 2020. And so 3 projects. So first and foremost, actually, I'm gonna push this guy to the side. We're gonna break out this guy. This is one of my favorite Pete projects that Pete just brought in randomly one day. Pete makes a lot of really cool projects. He just brings them in randomly. This is an Arduino, so there's programming involved. Like all of our projects, we have diagrams, code, step-by-step guides, and little video descriptions of things. We get this plugged in properly. There we go. Ta-da. We're gonna unplug this so it stops making noise. But this is off the old music box, the hand crank music box idea. And we always thought those were kind of fun way. I always like to do fun, like taking something simple and making it like overly complex, but also still simple. So this is literally a digital hand crank to play a song. And all we're doing is completing the circuit in a couple different ways. So we've got our little Arduino board here. This is our robotics board found in like our programming 101 kit, our robotics kit. We also have a couple other different boards as well that work fine with this, but all found at Nasco Education. So we're hooking this up. We've got a little piezo speaker here for sound output. And over here we have just a bunch of Legos, just a little simple hand crank. If you can see here, we've got this little zigzag of tape on our little wheel that we're cranking. And all we're doing is connecting ground, which is this line here, our ground, to these different digital pins. And that's why we have a little zigzag. So it's just making contact with each of these. Basically, we're making a really fancy way of doing a button press, which is way overly complicated. There's no reason to make a button press is overly complicated. That's all we're doing, but it's a fun little hand crank. So we're gonna do this, and we're gonna play several tones in a row. We'll see if that microphone can pick them up all right, but we'll get this up here. There we go. So this is a really small version of this project. There we go. Stop making noise. There we go. So this is a very simple project. All in all, it's fun for kids because, one, we're doing music in a very different way, reminiscent again of like a hand crank music box or just player piano, something like that. But we're also having the kids change the tones involved using the code. That's where the manipulation of the code learning involvement comes from, changing the tones and the output. Now we've done a much bigger version of this, and Pete, maybe we can show that video, the bigger version. I don't know. Probably on our file server somewhere. And I grabbed this at the last minute because I thought it was cute. It was sitting on our wall. But we did a much bigger version of this where we actually tried to play a song with it, where we had it mapped out a little bit differently to do just different notes, a much bigger version. We also done a bigger version of this too that just makes LEDs light up back and forth, but same basic concept, but having the kids take that and then just doing more and more, playing around, designing something of their own using this basic template. Oh, there's some very simple Lego, some round Lego pieces here, like round 2x2s, and a very simple crank. And all we're doing too underneath here is the tape just goes underneath. It's just draped underneath like a drawbridge that this is making contact with. Very easy to switch around and change around. Again, simple concept, wide-ranging application, and very odd, which is I love the odd projects for kids because it tends to get them a little more interested. At least the kids we work with tend to think, ooh, that's really weird. Let's try something different. We'll see if Pete can find that or not. But we also do this both with this Arduino and also we do a version of this with a microbit as well. If you're a microbit person, you could also do the same project with a microbit. And if you really want to, actually, we were just talking this earlier, the new microbit version 2 that came out recently has a built-in piezo speaker. You could do this project with our cool 1/8" tape without even any of the crazy circuits parts involved, since there's a built-in piezo speaker on the new microbit, which is kind of very nice. But this will not work with copper foil tape. Copper foil doesn't have the strength to handle it. Only our awesome nylon maker tape found at Nasco can handle this. It's a nylon fabric tape that's conductive. You need that extra bit of rigidity to handle a bit of a flex right here and a little bit of abuse that comes with that pressing down the Lego components. But yeah, with a microbit, it'd be really easy to do this as well. So now, any luck with that, finding that video, Pete?
It's on that machine, I think.
Oh, okay, well, never mind. It's on a different machine somewhere in this office. So many videos. So that's this project. It's, Pete, what do you officially call this?
Music box.
Music box. And yeah, so we try again doing some very simple and interesting things with it. That's this little guy. I'm gonna put him to the side. Now, one of our more popular things we put out this past year as a project is using that same Arduino board. And again, we can use a microbit to do this exact same thing as well, using our upcoming, we have a microbit version adapter to work with our crazy circuit system. But this is a Arduino board, again, our robotics board for the crazy circuit system. We've got ourselves a little distance sensor right here, which comes in some of our classroom sets. And we've got a little battery pack in here. And down below, we've got these two Lego-based continuous rotation servos. They're just really fancy motors we can control with the board. And this guy just avoids walls. He's a wall avoiding robot. He goes until he hits something. And we like this project because building a wall avoiding robot is one of those kind of, I always say, cliche science projects you do when you get a programming set. So the big issue we have found with so many of those cliche projects is the mechanics involved is always the issue. So kids can do the, wire things together, get things hooked up, but then you have to build something that makes it move, a body, a chassis for your simple bot here. And that's way more challenging than most people give credit to for a project like that. And especially when trying to, say, go from a motor or a servo to like a homemade wheel. I always like to think of the dowel rods with like a CD attached to them that I used in my classroom, or just some like horrible wheel system back in the day. If you're lucky, you had like an erector set you could hook things up with. But Lego makes it really easy, which is what I like about it. And our design here is extremely simple. We just really hooked up our little Lego-based servos really poorly to the bottom here, and it works just fine. And everything else is just very simply plugged in here. So it takes away that really difficult aspect of building a chassis and turns into a quick and easy and exciting activity, as opposed to a labor-intensive mechanical engineering activity. It takes something that might take you a few hours down to a single class period. And the nice part is too, then the kids can modify, change, do different things. Does having a little ball bearing on the end make a difference? Oddly enough, it doesn't. You can just use a flat Lego piece on the backside and have a horrible dragging tripod off the end. It doesn't matter. Or you can choose something instead of a distance sensor, use some other sensors instead. My battery pack keeps falling out. Again, same thing with using a microbit as well, with our little Lego servos we have here. They just all plug into the back of our boards. Again, trying to eliminate all that annoying work, the things that really shouldn't be a problem that always end up being a classroom problem for you, a wire that's plugged in backwards, a connection that's not quite tight enough, a battery that's dead. We've all been there, teachers. But this is a really fun one just because it's interactive. It is kind of like my first robot, and then the kids can build and change and do things off of here. Add LEDs on there, not a problem. Add a different sensor on there, maybe a light detecting sensor. not a problem. Things just plug in very, very simply. I think we could, if you really want to as well, want to go really far, you could use, we have our bigger programming classroom sets. We actually come with a little joystick module. Plug that in there, use that little joystick module to control the movement of here as a very short wired robot you can move around. It's not tough, but again, once the kids kind of get there, okay, I've done this, you've got that group of kids in your classroom who's always ahead of everybody else. Here are the extension activities you want to try to take things further, add your own components amongst the stuff we have, and to here to see what else we can change around, modify, use, and experiment with in a safe and friendly and non-choking hazard environment. So this is our little wall avoiding robot. We should probably give it a name, Pete. What should we call this?
I call it obstacle avoidance robot. That's okay.
Or.
Sure.
All right. So that's what we had to label this later. But yeah, Lego makes it really, really simple, which is why I love the mechanics of it. Which then brings us into yet another Lego mechanics thing that Pete put together, because Pete put together so many fun things randomly. Thanks, Pete. You're awesome.
Sure.
So this is actually our microbit board here. It's just a microbit attached to our Lego breakout board. So we can plug in batteries and sensors and servos and all that fun jazz. But we wanted to make a winch. It's a microcontroller controlled winch. Why? Because you're surprised how often that actually comes in really handy to make something go up and down based on, say, a button press or a timer in a simple format. All we have here, again, is that continuous rotation servo with, I think this is a wheel.
It is a Lego wheel, a rim.
It's a rim. That's where I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not an axle thing that goes across the middle. It's a rim. Got some really hot rims going on here. All the kids will love that. But then just some string to, this is just a clamp we had. But Pete, you have a really cool video to show of a brick heist with this?
Oh, sure. Keep talking.
Oh, okay. Video. It's a really cool video. So we're gonna show you how this little guy works here. Now, microbit's great. We can plug in via USB. This is the new, I think, microbit version 2. Yeah, it is the new one that just came out with the built-in speaker on it. If you have the version 1, it doesn't matter, same thing. We are running this through our bit board, which Nasco will be carrying very shortly. So I get this in the center frame. It just plugs in here. And that's where we have our battery pack here and our servos just plugged into over there, if you can see that. Now I'm just gonna turn this on.
I have a video.
Should this be going, Pete? I turned it on.
Put the battery on.
It is on.
Oh, you gotta press the button.
Oh, that's right. There's built-in buttons, I forget. Wow. Oh, look, it's coming in and it's going out. I know, amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sure all the teachers are like, wow. Sure beats the professional development I usually do. I can tell the wows from across the world.
We do have a video.
We have a video. That's actually way cuter than anything I can do here. Pete, roll that video. There's actually fun music to this too. I don't think it's coming through from like the 3 pieces of software we're using aren't really translating well, but there we go. And there's all the pieces on that. It's the same thing. I think it's the exact same one Pete used. But it's a really easy and fun thing to do, especially if you're doing anything with physics. We need to move something up and down very easily. But essentially, you've got a computer controlled or a button controlled. You can always make those buttons, say, break them out via some conductive tape or wire if you really want to go that way. To a handheld controller. Actually, the funny thing is we have a big photography like paper roller up on our wall over here for doing photography. It's essentially this. It's 3 motors hooked up to big rolls of paper up on the wall. You press a button, they go up and down. We really built our paper roller here just in a much more Lego-friendly format. That thing was really hard to get up on the wall. It's very large. But this is, again, one of those little projects where, okay, if I can do this aspect, what other things can I do by using a button to make a motor go back and forth? Can I do 2 motors in 2 different situations? Can I hook it up to a sensor? I always love when we can do cause and effect with sensors. A lot of our projects deal with that, where you use that distance sensor where, okay, if distance sensor triggers something, something goes within 5 centimeters of that distance sensor, activate the motor for 10 seconds to pull something up or drop something down. The classic, I call them Halloween activities. Halloween decorations. Too much Dr. Pepper today, because motion triggers something weird happening, a sound effect, motion, lighting effect, which is great around, say, Halloween or, say, the Christmas holidays. More Halloween because you want to startle people. But those are always fun cause and effect things that are really easy for kids to understand, that programming language and how everything hooks together. And even this right here. Now, Pete, do you have code somewhere we can show on a website? I'm really trying to like, Pete, did we do this thing I did not ask you to do? And we like Microbit for the fact that it's really easy drag and drop visual programming. Say the Arduino is great if you want to go the classic typing code on a page. We always give example code to work from. But the Microbit's kind of really nice too for being very easy drag and drop interface for that, which just makes it a lot more teacher and student friendly. Because unless you're someone who enjoys programming a lot, you probably don't know what to do with lines of code. I'm not a great coder, but I'm really easy to learn Microbit and get something to work for me on there, whether or not I know what I'm doing fully. But it helps kids kind of get that logic, cause and effect, how to format things and how things connect together in this new language. If you can't find it, Pete, no biggie. I have one more thing to show off too before the end of the year. So I hear Pete doing things on the computer and the headphones here. I'm gonna push this guy to the side. I'm gonna bring out one last fun dude. He is our Autobot, O-T-T-O. He is a walking robot. And this is a over-the-top Lego project, which wasn't that tough to put together. An Otto robot is, it's a kind of standard, a building standard of simple robots. It uses 4 servos to do not so much walking as much as a awkwardly controlled shuffle. Would that be a good way to describe it, Pete? A really awkward, but it dances. It does really awesome breakdancing from the late 80s. It's really what it does. It really does some cool shuffling effects and mimics some basic walking movements. And it's also pretty simple using just 4 very simple standard servos. We're using 4 of these Lego servos, which are pretty much just standard servos with Lego connections on them. That's why we like using them. And then we just have Legos as mechanics around here. Not that many pieces, to be honest, stuff we had already. And a lot of these are just for adding extra weight for balance, and some googly eyes for good measure, because everything's better with googly eyes. And one of our robotics boards on top. Now, Microbit doesn't tend to really work so well. Microbits have issues with over a certain number of servos, but there's tons and tons and tons of Arduino code we found out there that to start from as a reference to do this. And I'm gonna plug this guy in and get him to do some awkward dancing here. And Pete has a video too. I know we had that on that computer still from a while back when we did something. So I'm gonna do this, you can kind of see he's, no video trickery. He's walking back and forth awkwardly at this angle. He looks like he's wiggling. We'll show you the video. Oh, video is way better because you can actually see him do little dancing moves. Wait, why don't you roll that other video? There you go, that's Pete's desk. But you can see him doing some, it's controlled shuffle. I think, by the way, you can also see why we had to put googly eyes on him, because without googly eyes, like, is he coming? Is he going? We don't know. But you can do a little stand-up. This is just the demo code, the Arduino demo code that you can frequently find. We just modified it to work with the servos we had a little bit better. But this is all just very simple and getting you to do some basic movement. Now, again, students can add on to this too. If you want to, say, try to get a distance sensor on there, that was going to be our next thing to do. So you could shuffle forward, stop, and turn, basically like our little wheeled robot, but just in a much more awkward way. Pete, your desk is such a mess in this video.
I cleaned it out.
Oh, he cleaned it. That's good. End of year cleaning. There we go. But this is one of the little robotic things. We're trying to build a little library of fun, engaging, yet simple for students and teachers to understand and manipulate projects, because those are the ones we find just get that student interest going and just builds that motivation, that self-learning in the students. Again, we love our paper circuits, we love our simple projects, paper circuits. But these larger projects are really great. And again, these might not be, I don't think I should mention this already, but for the first time, might not be the best thing to do here in a COVID year for schools. But once kids are coming back together in your classroom, doing some activities, and need some coding that's not just throwing numbers and fun commands up on a screen, simple robotics is great. Pete, is there a question?
Yeah, a question about the specific battery packs for projects. What do we do?
So there's 2 ways to power these projects. One, for like the Microbit, you can either use a USB cable to power things, which is by the way, my go-to teacher recommendation. USB power is great. You can have little USB power packs that can power a project for days that cost like next to nothing, or there's always a USB port somewhere. If you're coding things, you're probably next to a computer anyhow, right? Plug it into that, or get like little cheapo USB wall adapters for like $3 each off Amazon and just plug it in that way. Or the microbits, we do have like little AAA battery holders that plug in, and you need to use 3 regular AA's for any Arduino because they need 4.5 to 5 volts, whereas microbit runs off 3. So you need like a 3 AA or 3 AAA. Again, you can just plug them in directly into the pin headers we have here to power them just fine. But like even for our, where's my little robot guy here? A little robot dude. This is just a like $5 USB power pack we got off of Amazon. I mean, actually, I was powering the other ones off of a much larger USB power pack I keep over here to charge my phone when doing live streaming with or projects. And so those are always helpful. And when in doubt, I just try to avoid having battery packs in general in the classroom, only because it's one more thing to lose. Your batteries, say you're out of batteries, they die on you. And keeping around a bunch of AAA and AA batteries is just, it's annoying. At least with these power packs, you can recharge them overnight. Whereas rechargeable batteries don't always work as well for robotics. So rechargeable AA's and AAA's have a lower voltage, so you actually need more of them to power most things, which adds some weird issues. Things you learn over the years. So 2 rechargeable AA's or AAA's would not work with a microbit. You would actually need 3, which would actually be too much for a microbit. Anyway, long story short, power packs, these little USB power banks, I guess that's kind of the really nice thing to do because you can then recharge them at night. Just get a USB hub, like a $10 USB hub with like 8 to 10 ports on it, charge them all up at night, you're good. Life is easy. And then you always have that, or just run them off the computers the kids are working off of already for doing programming. So that's my Josh recommendation. Then they put that USB cable back in the box when they're done. Like our classroom sets come with USB cables. Put the cable back in the box into the class period. They're really not awesome cables for a reason. The kids don't want to take them. There's a reason they're not super fancy cables. But oh, there's Pete's name on that one too. This is an office one, Pete. I thought this was ours.
No, that's mine.
Oh, okay. Well,
I built this at home. I had it handy.
oh, sure it did. Sure, Pete. Sure. Anyway, so by the way, have any random questions like that? Because those are little things we've learned, like just from doing workshops with kids and own projects here. Ever questions like that, ask Jordan or ask us during our live streams. We're always happy to answer weird questions because we've probably run into them before. And even the big issue, say like batteries are always a weird thing because like the walking robot, there's nowhere to put a battery on this. You have to just have a USB cable coming off of here, like to something. There's no easy way to put a battery on the inside of this head. There's just not enough space. I'm sure you get a really small lithium battery that'll work for probably all of 3 minutes. We've done that for projects before. It's gonna work for 5 minutes for a video, but it's just not practical. But again, keep it simple. Don't spend tons of money on batteries. If you have to spend money on batteries, get something you can do a rechargeable power pack on, and they're pretty inexpensive. We actually have a bunch of them we got from, I think it was Office Max on sale for like $4. I used them at workshops for forever and a day. Nice little ones, but they're on sale. Like they're great. And then if you charge your cell phone during class discreetly away from the kids, you can just plug that in too. But yeah, so all these things are documented. We have code directions guides on all this fun stuff and far more. Nasco will be carrying our bit board, which is our microbit adapter to Lego. And again, we typically use conductive tape to make circuit boards on Legos, but doing programming projects like this with Lego is so easy for mechanics, like this kind of thing, so easy. And it just makes projects, yeah, they happen versus going through tons of cardboard and foam board in your paper in your class to make mechanical things is just so annoying. I hate doing it, and if I hate doing it, I see my students hate doing it. Just like no, keep it interesting, focus on the programming, all that fun jazz. Pete, any other fun questions out there?
No, the battery thing was the.
Thanks, person who asked about batteries, for asking a question. We so rarely get questions. We love to answer them. And look at that, it's 4:29 according to the big clock on our wall. So Jordan, do you have any questions or other things you'd like to throw out there?
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Josh, for presenting all those different projects. I think somebody was asking more specifically about the music box simulation that you kind of created.
Oh.
Kind of wondering about like, hey, how do I create my own kind of thing?
Oh, well, so we have full on directions. If you ask Jordan, he can send you the links to all that fun stuff. So we actually have a couple different versions of that music box of just different ways we've done it, both a small version with just LEDs. I think we did a version with just all analog. It was just LEDs and a battery pack. And you twisted it, the LEDs did a little dance back and forth. Sorry, allergy season still. Yeah. Go figure. But Jordan can give us some links on that because we do have several different sets of directions for this, depending on how big or small you want to go for that, as well as which Lego pieces to use specifically. We always try to link to the specific Lego part number when there's something like these little round guys right here, the 2x2s that are round, what the exact part number is there, so you can find those, again, probably things you have already, but if there's any kind of oddball Lego pieces that we use, like these are the best ones ever for a crank. We found these two pieces, but we listed the actual like number, the model number on there. But Jordan can hook you up with that that link as well for the different versions of these that we have. And if not, Jordan, if you can't find that, I email me. I'll get on that fun conversation because yeah, it's a fun project because it's so darn simple to do. It really is just tape on Lego. And just that fun little hand crank. It's just so weird. And you're just like, oh, wow. I've seen adults do this, by the way. We had some adults around. It's like, ooh, this is fun. Like, you can stop doing that now. It's been 5 minutes. You laugh, but seriously, little things like this just amuse people to no end, but it's so simple. And having a kid make a simple yet amusing thing is just great to see. Like, yeah, you did that on your own. You made that amusing, useless thing. Way to go. You learned something too, hopefully. So, but it's hard to go wrong too. It's hard to do this wrong, which is also what I like about it. High success rate. So yeah, anything else, let us know, people and Jordan.
Yep, absolutely. And what I'm doing right now is I'm grabbing a couple of variety of different kits that you can grab. We do have a robotics kit. We do have a, the Crazy Circuits Deluxe pack that also comes with our Arduino and some of the different materials that you're seeing here. We do sell, of course, the conductive tape, different varieties. Now, make sure to emphasize what kind of size tape do you need, Josh,
Well,
to use?
this is the 1/8" tape. It does come in all of our Crazy Circuits kits, the 1/8" tape. So actually, any of the kits you'd buy of ours from Nasco come with tape in them. And the ones like our robotics board is in a robotics kit, which comes with servos. And our programming classroom sets, which are the big ones. We want to do a bunch of these in your classrooms, a bunch of that has curriculum involved. But yeah, I know Nasco on their website has like a list of all the parts that are on there because different kits have different types of parts depending on the kind of thing you're aiming for. Because we make quite a few different components out there. That's the thing. We do a lot of components in different configurations depending on the kind of projects you want to do. But the Deluxe kit is nice. It has all of our parts in there, but oddly enough, not servos because that's what the robotics kit's for, servos galore. But yeah, we try to have a wide range of Lego compatible components because they're fun. And you can also like just wire in your own parts too with the tape. That's why the tape is great. Just wire in a regular LED. We've done that before. Oh, we don't have enough LEDs. Well, we have a regular one. We'll just tape it on. And it looks a little funky, but it works. But all of our parts do pop on pretty well. So
absolutely.
Yeah, if anyone needs help with like which kit to do what kind of projects, talk to Jordan. The three of us can chat. We can make sure you guys get the right kind of thing you need for your classroom, the right materials and supplies, all that fun jazz.
All right, great. Well, again, thanks everyone for joining us today, and thank you, Josh, for presenting. My name is Jordan Nelson. I'm one of the customer engagement managers with Nasco, and I was your host today. And I'll give a shout out to all you educators out there still making it happen for students. I know it's been a tough school year for many reasons, but stay motivated, stay positive. What you're doing means a lot. If you do have any other questions, feel free to answer, or we'll feel free to answer those right now. You can send those through the questions tab on the control panel. We're more than willing to do that right now. If you have any specifics about these particular projects or maybe extension activities or how you incorporate them, etc. So I'm looking really quickly, just making sure I've answered everybody else's questions or comments throughout this presentation. Just as a reminder, I did want to say that if you are interested in ordering, I do have those links in chat, but again, you can always reach out to us afterwards for any additional questions. Yep, please don't break those projects there, Jack.
Jordan, the funny thing is they're Lego, so if I do break them, they're easy to put back together again. And that's the point. We've broken a few things over the years, things that have fallen walking from one room to the next. Pete's laughing because he knows it's true. We've built some.
Rebuilt that robot before already.
Yeah, we've built some very, very, very large projects. that don't always move well for photography and video and documenting purposes. So sometimes it's a fun walk around the office. Cool beans.
And then also make sure everyone to fill out that survey at the end. Always love your feedback. If you want some more projects like this, or if you're looking for a little bit different, we always welcome that feedback. Again, as a reminder, this is our last webinar. Check out the links for the webinars next month. That will be coming to you via email. If you don't receive them, you can always reach out to us at engage@nascoeducation.com. And then also, we also have a recording version of all of our different previous episodes. Say you're like, hey, this is great. I love this episode today with Josh and Jordan, but I want to see other ones in the past, right? So let's go and see those on nascoeducate.com. If you want to, it is separate from our main website, but if you don't have an account already, or if you'd like to find out more information about Nasco Educate, you can touch base with me afterwards. So
and Jordan, the cool thing is too, in this next year, we're going to start going over some different sample lessons. It's like we have a bunch of curriculum we've written for these different components, but going over those with here on the wonderful NASCO live stream, example lessons and activities, extension activities, especially things that connect with current events that are happening throughout the next year. But yeah, so if you like this kind of stuff, we'll be doing far more of it and in cool ways.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking through the questions tab. I'm not seeing any more there. So I thank you everyone again for joining us. I hope you guys have a great holiday season. You too, Josh and Pete. I definitely appreciate everything you did this year. Had a lot of fun, and we'll see you next year. Take care, everybody. Have a great one.